I'm Kyrah Grant.
I'm Shockey.
I'm Addie Smith. And this is our thesis show, Blank on the Brain. And I think Addie is going to share first.
Yeah. Okay.
You will be like,
Yep. Just remember to talk loudly.
yeah, we can do that with our first teachers.
Okay. Are we good?
Okay, so this is my thesis show, Weighted Paths. So I wanted to make my work about eating disorders and body dysmorphia, and generally the choices that we make every day and how that impacts why we exercise or when we exercise. So the first part of the experience is these kiosks where you choose either between healthy or unhealthy choices. It's fine. So with the assets that I created in this, I used Adobe Fresco, which is a digital painting and drawing app. There's a difference in the two selections stylistically to depict like how media portrays healthy versus unhealthy food. Personally, a lot of times I see ads where like the organic foods are very much like idealized and like they look really pretty, and then the like unhealthy options are usually very like vectorized and like bold colors that really bring your attention to it. And then the final part of the kiosk experience is that you get a timer that shows you how much calories you need to burn, and essentially no matter what you pick, you're going to have to burn your weight beta. So then you're directed to this final that I created with the Cricut machine. This lovely machine is called the Afterburn, and I decorated with vinyl also made on the Cricut and hand painted labels on the bottom. And I chose to place the mirror in front of it so your body is all that you see while you are walking on it. So a lot of times people who have body dysmorphia, that's all like they see is what they see, like their body. They don't see their face, and their identity isn't very much what they're concerned about when they're focusing on their body. The final part of this experience is an augmented reality. There's 2 QR codes here. One of them is on the iPad running right now. So do this. How do you want me to like?
That's good.
Okay. So all of these assets are made in Blender, and I have the textures done in Adobe's 3D software. I wanted the AR experience to mostly confront the users again with the same choices that they made in the screen. So it's depicting that cycle of eating and choosing things, and then you're confronted again with like whatever media that you're surrounded by in the real world. Thank you.
I'm Kyrah Grant, and this is my thesis, Cherry on Top. I have a concentration in digital art and technology, and I do a lot of work with collaging, photography, and graphic design. And I used Adobe and Procreate to create these collages, and then a laser cutter with wood to create the 3D assets. A lot of my work is inspired by internet culture, like feminine figures, and the media that I consumed growing up. They really informed my aesthetics and opinions in my art to this day. Seeing women in my life that were very carefree, they had like piercings and tattoos and dressed however they wanted, allowed me to see myself and other women as like interesting and multifaceted people, as opposed to just like sexualizing them based on how they look and what they wear. But entering the real world, obviously, because people don't see waves that way. So I like to make art that's very loud and kind of promiscuous, I guess, just to kind of reinforce that idea. I don't believe all women need to be like non-traditional, but I think there should be a space for everyone, and that women's looks should never change the integrity and importance of their words on any end of the spectrum. I also see like this Cherry character is kind of who I want to be, and she dresses fun, she lives in New York, she's very confident, and I just kind of see her as a goal to work towards and an energy I want to like emulate. And I created these digital collages, and then I separated out the layers and vectorized them and cut them with a laser cutter to give them more like life and depth. And it allows the viewer to kind of see them in a different way. And then there's also an AR experience where you can be inside of the piece as well, so that you're down at the level of like the people, and it gives you the perspectives from both ends. And then I'll just finish with my statement, which is Cherry on Top showcases an obnoxious, provocative, larger-than-life woman disrupting everyday social settings. In reference to cultural shifts happening around us, existing as a form of rebellion, Cherry is incapable and unwilling to hide who she is, forcing everyone else to make space for her.
Hi, I'm Shockey. This is my piece. It's called Through the Anxiety. There's a couple of components of this, and then the corner animation is kind of my interpretation through colors, shapes, and patterns about how to express those feelings that you're not quite sure how to feel during panic times when you're really anxious or have a lot of struggles with mental health. This is kind of like the whole process. This is my statement wall of the chaos of how I process and deal with coming together with an idea. And so it's all of my notes physically written out about the project and the modifications I made to it. And then the animation on top of it means a lot to me. They're these patterns and designs that I draw a lot when I feel anxious. I've been doing it for years since I was in high school, so it has a lot of meaning to like kind of contain the chaos for me. And then this piece also has sound and an interactive bit. So when the piece starts, it corresponds with a heartbeat sound that portrays, and if you come up here and put your hand on the boxes down here, you can feel the vibrations of it and feel the change throughout the piece. And then it also has this piece right here, which is a sensory touch box that's also supposed to mimic your heart. And inside of it has a robot that switches on and is coded to program, so when you tilt the box or move it, it freaks out, simulating your heart when you have a panic attack. So then you can hear it inside, and it'll stop playing once it stops realizing that there's danger inside of it. And it's very kind of reminding you to be careful with it, because it still mimics and is portraying my heart as well. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, we have some time for questions. Anybody have any questions?
Kyrah, did you choose, so for your cherry character, does the cherry, like the fruit, have any particular like significance to you?
I just really like cherries, and I also have a tattoo of cherries that I did myself, so it's just kind of like my favorite fruit. When I was first making them, I wanted them to be like anonymous because I didn't want my face in them, so it just like the first thing that came to mind kind of, but yeah.
I have a question about the mirror over here. Does it like warp your mind? Or is it just
Yeah, I think where I got it from, it's like, not the best mirror in the world, so it definitely gives like
my roommates and I, we have a mirror very similar to this, and we call it the mind dysmorphia mirror because it makes us look panic.
yeah.
So I think that's a good
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions online? Anybody?
I'm going to ask a question about your experience, your collective experiences about installing this work in the gallery. I mean, I think that especially the kind of work that you all do, it's really, it's hard to visualize and or experience without it actually being installed and experienced. So if you each could maybe talk to that sort of how now that it's in this space that you're either witnessing other people interacting with the work and or how you now see the work in the gallery, if that's changed the way that you've thought about the work, or you could just talk a little bit about that, that'd be great.
For mine, I think the hardest part was experimenting with like heights. I didn't know if I wanted them to be right at like eye level or if I wanted people to have to like kind of bend down and move to view the piece, and I ended up staggering them because like the characters standing in different heights and positions, so I thought it would be nice if you kind of had to mimic those to look at the piece themselves.
Yeah, I think there, originally with this project, it was really difficult to like imagine where were things going to be, how would the interactivity be with a lot of people being in the gallery versus like our critiques, because our critiques is a smaller group, but our last critique was really helpful because I had a lot of feedback come back of like, how do we direct the user where to go, and like, I think in the gallery now that I have like the vinyl up on the wall and there's like more direction to the overall experience, it helps a lot. So it's been a work, like very hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I also agree with that. I have a lot of technology for my piece, and it's also interactive, so trying to make sure there's no tripping hazards or people are going to knock over the pedestals or like ruin anything while also being able to interact with the piece was really challenging. Also with the projections, thinking about if people walk in front of them, if they're able to see it, how that changes their perspective. So that was a bit tricky to figure out, but I'm happy with what I came up with and outcome of it.
I think also with that, and I think maybe Addie, what you were mentioning, all three of your works also have kind of instructions, right, for the audience and the participants to kind of be able to interact with them. So, I mean, how have you, is there anything that you would change from like the things that you kind of thought you would do, but then you're like, oh, that's a little clunky, I think I would change that in the future or something?
I already kind of had to make changes. My iPad was on like a standing stand, but since it was like inside of the work, you had to like reach in, and I didn't want people to think they were allowed to like pick things up or like that they were gonna knock stuff over. So like maybe arranging it in a way that invites people to like pick things up and touch stuff without feeling like they're gonna mess something up.
Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you all very much. Venture to the next gallery.
I'm Addie.
I'm Mia.
I'm Maya. And this is our group show, Recollections.
So my show is titled The Butterfly Effect. And if you don't know, the butterfly effect can be described as the phenomenon in which what is seemingly a small action causes a series of unpredictable events to occur. In this case, I chose to focus on what I believe to be a minor decision nearing the end of my senior year of Allen High School, moving away for college. However, I came to realize that this choice would lead me down a path in which I could have never dreamed of if I had stayed home for college. This series of photos is meant to depict how small decisions throughout our lives can ultimately shape who we are and how we experience life. While creating this project, I kept the following questions in mind. Would I have known deep down that I would have been happier here if I had chosen to stay home? Would my mental health be better or worse if I had stayed home? Would I have my license by now, or would my anxiety have prevented me from doing so, even though I would have had access to get it? Would mine and my partner's relationship look any different if we weren't long distance for 3 years? Would I be living with him now? Would we have endured the same struggles that we did in 2023 if we were together instead of apart? Would we even be together? Would I be the same person that I am today? How have the people that I have met and intertwined into my life shaped me as a person here? Would I be as independent as I am now? The funny thing is, I still don't have the answer to most of these questions. The only way to truly know is if I were to navigate into this alternate timeline where my legacy at OU is non-existent. The following photos are meant to be viewed as a scrapbook of memories, both real and imagined, as well as depict what is versus what could have been. Though we may have many questions throughout our lives left unanswered, I believe our hearts and the universe guide us to where we belong. If I've learned anything throughout my time here, it's that we aren't meant to know all of the answers, and that's okay. This is something I can confidently say I would have never learned had I not cast the stone that created was the ripple effect of my little life here in Athens. So basically, I have two sides to my work. The center photo is kind of has like a ghosted hand over here, reaching for a hand that is walking away. The ghosted hand representing this like alternate timeline where I did stay home and I chose not to move away. And then this side over here shows what my life looks like now, the places I've been, and the people that I've met. My show titled I Know It Is Out There. It focuses on themes of nostalgia, living presently, as well as finding wonder from childhood and bringing it into adulthood. It is mainly digital photography, but there's a few film throughout, but I find that digital captures the color and vibrance that I find comes from childhood better, so that's why I chose to do that mostly. These photos are new and old. This is a collection of images that I've captured in recent years on my journey to figure out where wonder comes from. Magic comes from the people you love and the places you see, but it also comes from within yourself. Think of these images as not just looking at the world, but actually experiencing it and finding the color and joy again. As someone who has found myself longing for the past and not knowing how to feel as alive as I once did as a child, living presently is my main goal. As kids, we aren't worried about what's next, just what's happening in the now. Each memory is vivid with magic and laughter, and who says adulthood can't be similar? It is hard to feel truly alive through stresses of work and school and adulthood, but if you make it your mission to live a little every day, your life will start to feel full. Personally, seeing the world and experiencing nature is something that creates wonder for me. Seeing new places and being with our earth brings out such feelings of joy, curiosity, and peace. Capturing my travels has been documentation of this journey to a full life. Each mountain, bear, or skyline that I see erupts a sense of comfort and curiosity in me, reminiscent of discovering something new for the first time as a young girl. I want to use my time being alive to truly live, by making art, going outside, being creative, seeing your loved ones, and experiencing the world.
You're being rebellious and revolutionary. Capitalism kills creativity, and as artists, we fight back. Be rebellious and make art in the evenings. Go on a walk with your family. Learn how to crochet. Open your window and listen to the birds. You don't have to travel the world to feel alive again. It is right in your backyard and within yourself. Force yourself to see the beauty that is life, and you will be revolutionary. These photos captured my experience of doing so. And I chose to frame them this way, kind of to give a homey sense of nostalgia and familiarity. And the poems are sort of paired with the photo that is directly above them, and you can sort of relate those feelings better and understand my mindset towards things.
I'm Addie, and this is my show, The Blue and You. This all started off of a quote. I've heard that a diminishment of color vision often accompanies depression. Though I do not have any idea of how or why such a thing is neurologically possible, so what would it be a symptom of to start seeing colors or more often just one color? Through mania, shock, love, or grief. Throughout my grief with my mother, I have noticed that blue is the color that I have grieved with. The color of her cancer ribbon, the color I wore to her funeral, the color of the house I moved into this year, the color of my birthstone she would wear every day, and the color of her alcohol that sits in our fridge still to this day because we just can't get rid of it. I chose to display these photos in kind of a chaotic display because that's just how grief is. You go through so many emotions while you're grieving. And I chose to do close-ups of objects that remind me of her, such as like her computer and her little sticker that said "Mom." And then she always liked lighthouses. I also did things that have changed about our house, such as my dad got a cat, and we never thought he would get a cat. And also things that haven't changed, like her nightstand. It still sits just the way she left it the day that she was in the hospital. And then I also added some things that she's never met, such as my boyfriend, and then a little kitten that we got. And my mom is the reason I am a photographer today. I use her camera still to this day, and I will always forever be grateful that my mom introduced me to photography and always took photos of me while growing up. And alongside of some of my work are some of her photos that also incorporate the color blue in them.
Maybe you all can gather and just sort of couch between the two.
Was making this art kind of helpful, like in the creative process? Like, would you say this is kind of part of it and like helps you stay connected?
Yeah, I think so. Especially going through some of her photos, I found some that I didn't even know she took. So I thought that was pretty.
I have a lot of questions.
childhood bedroom versus your bedroom here. It's a very nice touch. For a second, I thought it was the same room, and then I looked at it for a second longer, and I was like, either she redecorated completely or those are separate. I love the tonality and the split that's clean. I think those are very smart choices. Thank you.
I didn't even pick that up. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah.
Did y'all talk as a group about kind of displaying a lot of photos all together in kind of like these arrangements, or did it all kind of just happen coincidentally?
Yeah, it did kind of happen coincidentally. We've been kind of working alongside each other for years in the same photography classes, so we kind of had an idea of what things might look like, at least conceptually, and I think it all just came together magically how it was supposed to.
To go off of what Zelda said, I think they also have a very timeline feeling to them, where it doesn't feel so much like it's right to left. Like, I don't feel that it's directional. I feel like but you can spend some time in each, like with each installation, and really get a sense of that sort of body of work and duration. I guess I will ask the same question that I've asked in the other gallery, thinking about, again, you know, and especially as photographers making this work frame by frame, right? Like where you're individually capturing a moment that then starts to accumulate over time and start to formulate kind of a body of work. Can you each talk a little bit about how that experience and then seeing it installed in the space has contributed or added to your kind of thesis or your ideas about the work?
Well, I think they all pretty much deal with like time and memory and stuff. So like particularly with mine, there's a couple photos on the Athens side that I actually took like, I think there's like 2 of them over there that I took like throughout the years here. And I decided to include them just because I didn't want to do like all photos just from this year. Like my life hasn't just changed this year here, it's been like all 4 years it's gradually changed. So I thought it was kind of important to show that, like, it's like 2 of the same people on my one, but she looks very, very different in the one than she does in the other. So I think that also kind of represents that change throughout my time here. The other side is more of like an imagined, again, reality. So I guess that's like what the timeline I could have imagined had I still been living at home. But seeing it like this, I think just really in the order that it's in and the way that it's set up, I think it really just ties in the idea of it being a timeline, especially with the string going through all the photos. So.
And also, Maya and Mia both had to work through the architectural element of you know, a columnar sort of like structural thing in the middle. And yeah, you both seem to have dealt with that pretty well.
I know personally with mine, the middle column actually helped out a lot. It was like really played a good part into my concept. And the middle and the cross of the people, that was done intentionally to have like the people in my life be the center point, as like nature and all of these other things are also very impactful, but it really is the people that do affect me the most. So I think the architecture of the space really helped me in that way. And also a lot of these pictures they've been taken over the course of all 4 years. There's only a few that have been taken this year because I kind of realized I've been living with these ideas in my mind the whole time, and I didn't need to take new pictures because I already had them. And I think this was the first time, other than when I was laying them out on my floor figuring out where I wanted them, that I've seen them all together in a group, and I realized I had like the same colors and themes going on this whole time, and it was nice seeing them all on the wall together and seeing it come together.
Yeah, all 3 of you also, you know, it's like how the one multiplied becomes many, and then all of a sudden you have like an installation, it becomes a little bit more immersive when it is that kind of scale. Go ahead, Abigail.
I think I kind of did the opposite of what they did. I kind of just made the memories throughout the years, and then I took all the photos this year, which I didn't know I had so many memories. But I think that just made it more special. I would just walk throughout our house and I just see a memory after a memory that all included blue. I thought that was.
Do you want to also talk about the square format versus, the maybe more traditional, like horizontal sort of oriented?
I think I just wanted to do the square format just to get more kind of cropped and not have the whole subject in.
Any other thoughts at all?
Is there a certain reason why some of the photos are like clumped together in certain areas?
Not really. I kind of just wanted to be a little more chaotic with like scrambling.
Thank you all. For those of you joining us online, we will be back next Tuesday at 5 o'clock, and Thesis receptions, openings, or receptions will be this Thursday at 5 in the Artec galleries.